Hey guys, Pickle here. Before we get into the show, I want to tell you about 808 Audio. 808 Audio is all about street smarts, cutting-edge audio technology, and intelligently priced products for the discerning enthusiast. If it says 808 on it, you can trust that it will not only enhance your listening experience, but it will also let you hear music like never before. Visit www.808audio.com and use our promo code for 25% off your order. Promo code is going to be HATEFUL25 off. All right, let's get into today's show.
Welcome, Average Joe Nation, from around the globe. Props to you for staying up to date and keeping in the know. Fantasy football, man, very soon you'll reign. The knowledge that these three guys have, man, it is insane. Fantasy football talk, hateful eight, they wear the crown. Hold it down, Pickle, Blackburn, and Trimboli, hold it down. Pulling up to LB Design Studio, we're getting loud. Season 2, headphones on, red light, go, break it down.
Welcome back to the Hateful Eight Fantasy Football Podcast with your host. I'm Pickle, and with me as always, Blackburn.
Oh, what up?
And Trimboli.
What up?
Oh man, this week we will be discussing some of the major fantasy stories, which there's not actually that many, surprisingly enough.
No,
But
we're at that dead stage right now.
it is kind of a dead period.
I don't know. This is chock full of stuff here.
But today the main topic is going to be the 2018 sleepers, or as we would say, our 2018 sleepers, and not so much specifically anybody outside of the show's opinion, but just saying. Anyways, all right. As always, don't forget to follow the show's Facebook and Twitter accounts at the Hateful 8FF. And anything else? All right.
Let's roll.
Let's get into the fantasy news and notes.
Fantasy news and notes.
All right, fantasy news and notes presented by Body Armor Super Drink. Superior hydration for today's athlete. Check them out at drinkbodyarmor.com. Today, apparently, I forgot my water. I'll definitely have to take care of that at a different point in time, but I did not bring my water with me to the table.
I thought we were going to be universal today.
I thought we were too,
first time.
for one, but apparently I decided to forget the water. But anyways, first topic of the day, Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. reported 2 voluntary workouts, which is actually probably a good thing.
Yes.
So for all parties involved.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, he is wanting, as the note says, he's wanting $20 million per season, which it is crazy, but not really when the spectrum of what everybody else is making and what his abilities are when he's on the field.
Well, you figure his production. I mean, every year the salary cap goes up for teams, right? So $20 million is feasible, especially with somebody with that talent. It's just his off-the-field things is what's got me concerned.
And that's what makes him showing up big, because he's now becoming that company man. He's just doing whatever he needs to do to calm the storm, make it a back page story.
Which is smart. It's smart.
Yeah, absolutely.
At this point, I think that's a smart business move for him. But, I mean, as we said with Bell, somebody has to lay down on the sword to get the rest of the guys help, I guess, essentially, because Bell's going to have to, at some point, he's pushing to get the, 14 mil or 13 mil a year. If he were to get that, let's just say he only gets 12 to 13. Once he gets the 12 to 13 mil, then the next guys are going to fall in line.
He just wants to set the line.
He's going to he's going to set the bar for everybody. I mean, and Antonio Brown set the bar for everybody, and now everybody's going to fall in and say, well, I want that much money. I'm at least worth what Antonio Brown's worth. The same. So, I mean, that's what Odell's wanting. He's saying, I know that Antonio Brown's getting 14, 15 million a year. I'm worth more than that. I want 20. So, I mean, that's at least from his perspective. I'm not saying that he is or isn't worth it exactly, but I'm saying from a business standpoint, he says, I'm as good as Antonio Brown. I'm younger. I'm going to be in the league longer. I guess that's his bargaining point. But on the flip side, I don't see the Giants paying him $20 million. Now, I do see them maybe paying him close to the Antonio Brown dollar amount, but I don't see them exceeding it. If they do, not by much, I should say.
Is that why you think nobody gave up those 2 first-round picks?
Yeah.
Whoever traded is going to have to do an extension.
Yep.
Well, right. I mean, that's essentially why I think there was buyers for the trades picks, but nobody's wanting to. I think everybody wanted to kind of gauge to see what the dollar amount. And I mean, behind closed doors, I'm sure everybody, the agents and team reps know who and how much he's wanting. However, I don't expect him to get the $20 million, but that's just
I don't either.
And the problem is it a hard number for him too? So I mean, if it's something he's not worth, not going to no wiggle room here. Then
I
2
don't.
first rounds and then that on top of it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
A lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough one, but Then we got from the defensive standpoint for some of the IDP guys, as well as just defensive for the Raiders. A big key player for their defense is going to be Khalil Mack, and he did not report to voluntary workouts. Now, there has been talk of him potentially wanting an extension, wanting some more money on top of what he's making. He feels that he is worth more than what he's making. But now you've got a new coach in there with Gruden, and I'm not sure Gruden's going to pay him what he wants. Is he worth it? I think so. Is Gruden going to give him the money though? Probably not. He's going to have to find a common middle ground with him.
He wants $65 million guaranteed. That's a lot.
Well, let's put it this way: Gruden's not going to pay anyone anyways. But
True.
Will the Raiders pay it? I think they will. That's the only way they're going to keep him.
Now, if Al was still alive, yes, they would have already signed this contract and it would have been done by yesterday. But
he's making 13.8 this year, though, in his final year of his rookie deal.
Right, which is not a bad thing, but no. I mean, he's still
that's top running back pay.
Right, that's my point. He's wanting more for a defensive guy. I mean, I don't know, man. I get weary when these defensive guys want tons and tons of money. I mean, it's not that they're not as good as the offensive guys, or they're not as whatever. I mean, they put their body on the line just as much as any other the guys that step out on the field. But
didn't like a couple years ago they just give Carr that big extension?
They did. I mean, but Marshawn did restructure his deal to take less, but
he's just trying to stay employed.
This is also possibly true. But
you got Amari Cooper.
Wasn't there a defensive player that went to your team over there for big money?
The Redskins?
And it worked out great, didn't it?
Who? Talking about Hainsworth?
Oh, yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
That guy sucked. I'm just going to
throw it
out there.
No, it's got to be your bull.
I had that. I felt like it was a good point to drop that in there, but
yeah, he had that career year in Tennessee and then got that $100 million, $70 million guaranteed, and then I literally watched him get knocked on the ground against the Eagles, and he literally watched Donovan McNabb run around the field while he was laying on the ground to score a touchdown.
Well, win in Rome. Now another one. This one actually is interesting. I did actually expect the Bears to re-sign, but Cameron Meredith now officially a Saint, so I'm just surprised that the Bears didn't try to match. I mean, that surprises me, I should say.
Well, I was reading up on it, and they said that the coaching staff and everybody is really high on Kevin White. Like, even though he's been hurt, like they're still like there's hope there that he's going to do well.
I mean, if you follow his like social media accounts and his pictures on the mountaintops with his like 9 or 10 pack that he's got going, but I mean, the guy hasn't stepped on the field and done anything since he started. So,
and they got Allen Robinson. They brought in Trey Burton.
They've got Taylor Gabriel. I mean, they've got talent. Tariq Cohen's coming back. They got Jordan Howard. Trubisky's in there. I mean, and the offensive coordinator or the former Chiefs coordinator, who's now the head coach, is there. I mean, and they like to run the West Coast style offense. So I mean, these guys are going to be good to use. And Cameron Meredith would have been somebody useful within that West Coast offense, but.
Oh, they're going to love him in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
definitely.
It's going to be a great weapon for Breeze.
I think it muddies the water, though, for anybody not named Michael Thomas in fantasy, though. Because, I mean, you do have Stills still there. Not Stills, but I just drew a blank. It's not Kenny Stills. Snead. Jeez.
Yes. Well, he's a free – I mean, he's a
but Michael Thomas is going to be your main guy. They don't really have a set tight end now. I mean,
they signed Benjamin Watson,
and they've got.
I'm just saying, last year he was with the Saints. He had a great year.
Right. I mean, but I think the offense is going to still be run through Thomas, Ingram, and Kamara in some fashion.
It's going to be run heavy for sure.
I think so. But Cameron Meredith, I would have liked him better in the Bears offense, but I don't hate him in the Saints offense. But I don't know exactly where he's going to fit in as a Saint wide receiver with that passing game. But
Breeze spreads the ball around. He'll have a role. Might not be a huge role, but he'll have a role.
In some fashion, he will. So this one, Bills guard Richie Incognito to retire. He told multiple reports or sources and reporters earlier this week that he is retiring from football after 12 seasons now. This is his tweet, or this is a tweet sent to Vic Caruca from NFL.com and read, "I'm done. That's it. It's been a long career. Went to the doctor. My liver and kidneys are shutting down. The stress is killing me. It's just about doing what's right. I just want to be in the Hall of Fame."
Kind of a weird tweet.
It's kind of like a really cryptic, like almost like deep, dark tweet to be throwing out all these things like your kidneys and liver are shutting down and the stress is killing me and I went to a doctor, but I just want to be in the Hall of Fame. That's how you wrap up the conversation. It started normal. I'm done. That's it. Been a long career. That would have been a good stopping point. And then followed up with, I just want to be in the Hall of Fame. That would have been a great. That would have been a great tweet right there. I don't know if
he's Hall of Fame worthy anyway.
Right. Well,
not at all.
Right. But I'm just saying that would have been a better tweet than now followed by, I went to a doctor. My liver and kidneys are shutting down. My stress is killing. The stress is killing me.
Words have never got him ever in trouble. So I mean,
right.
This is just par for the course.
This is true.
I'm concerned here because the offensive line now in Buffalo is going to be trash.
Well,
they traded their left tackle to the Bengals. Eric Wood had to retire last year, their center.
This is a guard now.
And now their Pro Bowl guard is out.
In theory, if you really look at it, that's their center, left guard, we'll just say left tackle.
It's their whole left side of the line.
In theory, it's the blind side.
And there's no, they got Nathan Peterman.
Well, they do have McCarron, don't worry.
Okay. They don't have anybody.
I'm just saying, some people think he's the savior of quarterbacks coming in, so.
He has done nothing either.
I know. Now, I do agree with you. I think this impacts the offense for the Bills, specifically LaShawn McCoy, who is in the 30 and up membership club now. So
he's trending down anyway.
Yep.
Let's put it this way. I've heard reports that, and I mean, it's all hearsay at the moment, but there have been talks of Shady being shipped out to teams maybe like the Giants, who are in need of a steady running back. There's been some teams that his name has been floated to for draft day trades. Not like first or second round picks, but maybe a third or fourth round pick.
Like day 2 trade?
Like a day 2 trade to kind of get them a solid running back that they need. It's a veteran, where they're kind of either young at the running back position or they just don't have talent at the running back position. Because LaShawn McCoy has still, in my opinion, at least another year or two in the tank if he's on a good offense and an offensive line protecting. With the Swiss cheese that he's going to be playing behind, it would have been better if he played for Green Bay instead of Swiss cheese. But the Swiss cheese that is in Buffalo, I just believe that it's going to be struggling for Shady. And he struggled times last year, even with the offense that they had. He was hot and cold, and I just think that he breaks down injury-wise pretty consistently at some point throughout the season, whether it's early, mid, or end of the year. And now you're taking away his offensive line.
Right,
and that's key to a running back in general, let alone a aging running back, I guess is the better put. So we'll see. I'm just not excited about this for LaShawn McCoy by any means.
I'd be more excited if he got traded.
I think
at least for fantasy purposes.
Right. Well, I mean, even if he goes to, let's put it this way, even if he goes to the Giants, I mean, because that's the one team that I've heard consistently and his name being floated to, which would be fine for fantasy purposes because now they have a steady running back. Their offensive line has improved when bringing in Nate Solder, and
got it.
And then Eli, and if they've got OBJ, Shepard, Ingram, I mean that's a steady offensive front, and you really don't have anybody competing against LaShawn McCoy at that point. So I don't know. I like it if he would go to anybody that would have an upgraded offensive line for fantasy purposes. But I feel bad for the guy because he goes from Philadelphia 2 years later or whatever. Philadelphia has now won a Super Bowl. He's in Buffalo, and everyone that was brought into Buffalo to help win has all been left. I mean, you got Kelvin Benjamin that's in there, but who knows what's going to happen with him. They've got a tight end that's coming off of injury. They've got an aging. Their offensive line is depleted, and they traded away their best quarterback in Tyrod Taylor. They've got Nathan Peterman and
he likes to throw it to the other team.
McCarron. Well, he likes to bake those turnovers pretty consistently. Notable signings: Michael Campanaro signs with the Titans, previously with the Ravens. I don't know if that's really going to help or hurt the Titans' offense.
Probably special teams more than anything.
Yeah.
True. And then the Jets signed wide receiver Charles Johnson, previously with the Vikings. So, like I said, wasn't the most exciting news for the day. But Jarvis Landry did sign today for, what was it,
5-year, $75 million?
I thought it was like something $45 million, but guaranteed. It was like $45 million guaranteed, I think is what it was.
We can all agree he got paid.
Yeah. So I know for a fact that he is in theory at the.
You want it?
Yeah, go ahead with the
5
numbers.
years, 75.5.
Does it say how much guaranteed?
47.
There you go. See, I knew it was like 40 something guaranteed, but still, that's some serious cash.
Here's an interesting tidbit.
Okay.
The Colin Kaepernick saga continues.
Yeah.
He's been talking about going and visiting teams. Well, one of the teams was the Seattle Seahawks.
Yes.
Talking about bringing him in for a backup. They stopped his visit from happening because he told reporters that he plans on still kneeling. So they stopped his visit.
I know, I mean, I don't want to get too much into the political side of whether you agree with what he's doing or not doing from a kneeling or not kneeling, on the field, off the field stuff. If you just look at football talent, he is a talented player. There's no question about it. He's better than any of the current backups on any of the NFL teams, for one. And he's probably better than, I'd say, at least a quarter, maybe out of the 32 NFL teams, I'd say he's better than at least, we'll say, minimally 6 to 7 starting quarterbacks right now. But that's just my opinion. But on the flip side, I think what it comes down to, regardless of your whatever your thoughts on the whole kneeling of the national anthem saga, is the team that signs him has going to know that they're going to have a PR nightmare for wherever he goes. And I think that's what's holding him back, is you've got to find the right team that's willing to take on that everyday media typhoon that's going to happen whenever he signs to somebody, because somebody's eventually going to sign him. I don't think he's going to be banned from the NFL for the rest of his life or career or whatever. Somebody's going to take someone's going to take a flyer. Who? I have no idea. But I just think it's going to have to come from a team that's willing to take on this PR potential nightmare that's going to be every day. Colin Kaepernick this, Colin Kaepernick that. And it's literally going to consume a team, and it could potentially ruin a chemistry of a current team. And I think that's what everybody's kind of waiting on from a GM probably standpoint, and also from a coach's player personnel standpoint. That's why I think they're trying to be hesitant on just bringing him in, because of I think that's the biggest thing, honestly, from at least in my opinion.
Well, what kind of shocked me, even he got an interview there, was because aren't they shipping out guys because of the PR nightmares?
I thought
room issues. So now you're going to bring in him, who's right now it currently is the issue.
But I don't think they have a backup quarterback, because theirs got in trouble. Yeah.
Well,
that's it.
So I mean that's the only thing I could think of. I think they were trying to bring in a stable quarterback, to bring in a mobile quarterback similar to Russell Wilson, and he fits that. He's not Russell Wilson. I'm not saying that, but he is athletic type quarterback like Russell Wilson.
Right.
So, and I don't know. I just think it is what it is, but at the end of the day, somebody's going to take a flyer on him, and they're going to it's going to come from a team that's willing to take on the potential nightmare of PR issues.
Well, Eric Reid, the safety, he was kneeling with Kaepernick.
Right.
Bengals brought him in for a visit this past week.
Which is surprising, because the Bengals usually typically don't mind taking flyers on guys who have questionable on or off the field issues.
Bring him on.
Or PR issues, I should say.
He's a beast.
I
like Eric Reid.
I'm surprised that he got out of Cincinnati without a contract, but that's we might, in a day or two, he might get signed by Cincinnati. It's just he left Cincinnati without an actual contract agreement.
He's 26 years old, and he's a monster.
So, anyways, all right. Well, let's get into the segment of the day, which is going to be our sleepers for 2018, or our individual personal sleepers. So let's get into that glorious situation.
This is the 2018 Sleepers.
All right. 2018 Sleepers presented by Fantasy Fateball, the one and only Magic 8-Ball for fantasy football. 20 custom answers to help you make those critical start-sit decisions in the Sunday morning agony. And head over to fantasyfateball.com. They do have a promo code now, Hateful8, just like the website, just like the Twitter handle, and it's $5 off your purchase. So
nice.
It's not just for for show. It's also for funny purposes, because let's be honest, we all have that fantasy chump in our leagues. And it would be a nice little
Ramsey.
Nice little gift to give him or her, depending on your league. And I think it would be a good time. I think you guys need to get yourself some of those. But $5 off. Use the promo code Hateful8. So, man, 2018 sleepers already here. Who are your guys's? I mean, who? You know what? We'll let Trimboli start off. We'll let the rookie start off his sleepers.
All right.
I had something better going, but I really lost what I was doing.
Gotcha.
Oh well.
All right. So my first sleeper in the quarterback spot's gonna be Patrick Mahomes.
All right. What we got?
Well, let's hear what we got.
All right.
Right now, his ADP is the 12th round.
Yeah. Sorry.
Already off to a good start. The only problem is we don't have a huge sample size. I mean, he played and started in one game last year.
True.
He had 284 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception. Now, in saying all that, the Chiefs had traded 2 first-rounders to acquire him to move up in the draft. They've also traded away now Alex Smith. They let him sit basically a whole year. It's now they're just going to unload and let him go.
I agree. I think he's going to be good.
Yeah, he's got a huge arm.
Andy Reid successfully is good. Usually good with quarterbacks, regardless of their talent level. He gets the most out of them.
I mean, he got Alex Smith up to a number 4 quarterback last year in standard league.
True.
So
True.
he doesn't hurt with Hunt, West, and Ware. He can throw to those guys the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah.
Watkins now, and then Hill. Man, I drew a blank there.
That's all right.
And it's always good to have Kelsey as a tight end to go to.
Right.
Right. Not bad to have one of the top 3 tight ends in the league, but
he's one of my sleepers. I mean, I'm not going to put him up there as a must start, but he's one to at least grab, wait and see.
Well, I mean, and I think we were talking about this. I think the biggest thing for the guys like the quarterbacks that we're talking about are guys that you can probably get in the late rounds easily. And if it's somebody like, if you go get a Rodgers or a Breeze or Brady or somebody like that in the first, we'll say 2 to 4 rounds, this is somebody that you could come back around and get in rounds 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and like you said, put him on the back burner and say, hey, I mean, almost like a Deshaun Watson last year, where it's like a wait and see. How is he gonna take off? Is he gonna blow up? And if he doesn't, oh well, you drop him, you pick up somebody else. By that time, somebody else will be on waivers hot, and everybody will be trying to pick him up off of waivers as well. So
Jared Goff.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying there are potentials for that, I guess. So I'm not against that, and he's got a firepower of offense.
He couldn't have been put into a better situation. I mean,
True.
There's weapons everywhere.
Right. I mean, like you said, he's got all these guys named by names, and I just think that Andy Reid's going to do well, and I think he's going to adapt to his style of play and what is successful for him. I don't think he's going to make him go out there and stand under center if he feels more comfortable playing as a shotgun, or vice versa. And I think they're going to incorporate Kareem Hunt. I think they're going to incorporate Spencer Ware, Sharkhandrick West. These guys are going to get in the game. Yes, I still think Kareem Hunt's going to be the bell cow, but I think once we get to the passing side of it for running backs, I think you're going to see these Ware and Sharkhandrick West used in that aspect, because they don't have Albert Wilson anymore, and he was kind of more of like a hybrid running back, wide receiver type. And I think you can use Spencer Ware or Sharkhandrick West in that kind of role if need be. But you got Tyreek Hill, and like you said, Travis Kelce is not a bad tight end to have for a young quarterback to learn the speed of the game. So
Absolutely.
So let's see, who is your running back for this?
My running back is Devontae Booker.
Not bad. Potentially the next starting running back for Denver.
Well, that's my thought process on this. So right now his ADP is the 14th round, so you can still wait on him.
So essentially right around the defenses and kicker time frame.
Yes. Well,
So
unfortunately for me, he's probably a little higher. That's because I just can't wait on these guys.
Right, just can't wait on them. But all right.
Again, really it's hard to justify his stats last year because he's coming off a wrist injury, so he sat out the first 3 weeks, and they eased his way in. So last year he only had 79 attempts, 299 yards, and a touchdown. But like you just said, the Broncos now, they're rumored to be shopping C.J. Anderson, which makes Booker right now the number 1 guy, the bell cow for him.
Right.
So what I looked at is I went back to 2016 when he was the potential starter for most of the year. He still shared the workload with Anderson. Mm-hmm. He had 174 rushing attempts, 612 yards, and 4 TDs. He's also targeted 46 times with 31 receptions and a touchdown. Now, in that same year, Anderson had 110 attempts, 25 targets. So with Anderson gone, those stats have got to go somewhere.
True.
Those targets.
Well, Jamal Charles or whoever is the current backup is not going to be taking that much
No,
volume.
not at all. So that's why I saw him at 200-plus attempts with 50-plus targets.
I mean, he's got the body frame to be a bell cow running back. It's just he's not been given, like, I don't feel like him. Who was the other running back that they had at one point? It was before Charles. I forget what his name is. I just drew a blank on his name. He was kind of like a scat back that they replaced him with Jamal Charles. But anyways, he did well at times, but I just felt like they never really gave and I think it might have been John Fox at that point. They just never really gave a set run back like, hey, you are the guy. Here you go. We're going to let you run for a game or two and see how you go, whether you're hot or cold. And if you're good, we're going to keep you in or not. I just think it messes with young running backs coming in and only getting a series or two, and then you're out. Hey, we're going to bring this guy and give him a chance. That's what preseason's for.
Right.
It drives me absolutely nuts for the NFL perspective. When you're in the season, you let him run a few series. He's okay. He's not doing great, but he's not doing bad. Or he's doing bad, and you pull him, and you don't give him a chance to redeem himself. I just think that's a mind thing that I think messes with young running backs or players in general.
He fumbled right out of the gate that year, so that's what hurt him. So that's always weighing on him. Once you start fumbling, coaches start pulling away your attempts.
True. So
and that's what led, I think, to Anderson having a bigger role than he should have, at least in that year.
Yeah, I agree. So all right, I mean, these are two good guys so far. I mean, these are guys that people are potentially looking at late in their draft for sure. So who is the wide receiver for this wonderful team we're putting together?
This guy, I'm actually, I think I sold myself just doing all this on him.
I was say you did tell me that this afternoon.
With that, I'm high on Jimmy G. So Marquise Goodwin is my wide receiver to not sleep on. Right now, his ADP is in the 9th round. But when you look over some of his stats from last year, his numbers, he had 105 targets, 56 receptions, 962 yards, and 2 touchdowns. All but the touchdowns, career numbers for him. Now let's break his season down. First 10 games when he had multiple quarterbacks, he had 56 targets, 23 receptions, 500 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now let's add in the Jimmy G effect. 49 targets, 33 receptions, 462 yards, 1 TD, and that's only in 6 games. He nearly matched everything he did in 10 games with multiple quarterbacks with one guy in 6.
And Jimmy
Makes a difference for sure.
Well, and I think we've all agreed that Jimmy G is just going to continue to get better in that offense, and that offense is going to continue to get better. And I still think, technically, he's the wide receiver 1 at this point in that offense.
Oh, absolutely. On that
point. I just think you got a wide receiver 1 with a young quarterback with an offense that's potentially just added Jerick McKinnon. I think that Lynch is wanting this team to be successful, and he's building it from the ground up. And he started last year through the draft and through acquisitions of acquiring Jimmy G and everything, and then now they brought in Jerick McKinnon. They got rid of Carlos Hyde. I just think that they're trying to build something. They've got good tight ends. I mean, their offense is not bad as a whole, and I don't think they're going to be a laughingstock for the NFC West this year like they've been maybe in the years past. And I think they might be a contender for the NFC West. Now, I don't think they're going to beat the Rams, but I think they might contend for a potential if another NFC West team gets into the playoffs. They might be that second team in a wild card position or whatever you want to call it, not named the Seattle Seahawks. I'm not sure about Seahawks still going on at this moment. And the NFC West, I think, is pretty much the Rams' conference to lose. So, but I think that the 49ers are at least progressing in the right direction, I guess. Right. But I like Marquise Goodwin. I think he's going to be, man, he could potentially be one of those guys that just blows up this year and becomes somebody's like wide receiver 2 for next year, like top 15.
Yeah, well, I mean, standard league, it might be a little bit of a stretch because he doesn't have the touchdown numbers that you want.
Right.
But in PPR, I mean, he could easily slide up there to be number 2 and a wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I was telling you earlier, the 105 targets, it ranked him number 24th in the league. Now listen to this. He's got more targets than Diggs, Crabtree, Amari Cooper, and Cooper Kupp, and Emmanuel Sanders did last year, and they're all going higher than him in the draft. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's targeted. He's there. He's just – the volume's there. It's just can it translate to catches and touchdowns?
Right. Points have got to be – it's got to translate to fantasy points.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I guess that's ultimately what it comes down to. His success in fantasy football will come to the points that he's able to put on the board for people. So – And then finally, the tight end position, the glorious tight end position that everyone's so excited to draft.
Yeah, me included. This one, he is a real sleeper for me. It's David Njoku. He's a 14th round ADP right now. The Browns, I mean, he's a first round pick for him, so they expected a lot out of him. He was only targeted 60 times last year. He had 32 receptions, 386 yards, and 4 TDs. Really on him, what I'm selling is the Tyrod Taylor effect. Tyrod Taylor and Charles Clay always had a great rapport. Mm-hmm. I mean, Taylor threw to Clay about 18% of the time. If Njoku could have that, his numbers would go from 60 to in the 80 range targets.
Wow.
So that's a big number, a big change. And I think this offense will move more, which means there's more red zone opportunity.
True.
So, and Hugh Jackson loves to use the tight end in the red zone when he was the coordinator of the Bengals. That's how Eifert got all his touchdowns. He had 13 that year. Now, I don't think David Njoku is going to have 13
You don't think he's going to hit that
no,
but
you got to like that. You got to like all those things put together. Now,
potential's there.
Yeah, the recipe for success is right there.
Right. I mean,
like it.
I think that's a good thing. And I mean, I think, like you said, I mean, we've all agreed that the Browns have significantly upgraded their offense this offseason and bringing in Tyrod Taylor, Carlos Hyde, and Jarvis Landry. And I just think that they're going to go to the draft, and I think they're going to make this offense even better than what it is, potentially also helping their defense at some point. But I think, like you said, I think that with Njoku and Hugh Jackson and now with Tyrod Taylor and these guys, the offensive the weapons that they're going to have, I think they could be successful as a whole. And I don't think that the Browns are going to be a laughingstock that they've been for the last, 10, 15 years. So,
right.
Anyways, so good. I like it. Did you want to go next or you want me to go next? It's up to you. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll go.
All right. Sounds good. I didn't want to go, actually. I just was trying to be polite.
You know, eventually you got to go, right?
I do have to tell my sleepers. I just was trying to be respectful.
Keep on that Browns hype train that we're on right now.
Ooh-wee.
My quarterback's Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah?
For sleeper. He finished 16th last year.
Not bad
So
at all.
Middle of the road. And they had, like you said, Charles Clay was his main go-to guy passing. He had Zay Jones and whoever else that he had. Kelvin Benjamin for the last half of the year.
Right.
But this year, his ADP, he's the 23rd best quarterback. So it's not really that good.
I think they're just I don't want to use the cliche phrase. I think they're sleeping on him because he's moving to a new team. But in theory, the offense that he's going to is going to be better.
It will be better than what it was in Buffalo.
And he's not going to be solely relied on to be the guy. But
well, he finished last year. He had 2,800 yards and 18 total touchdowns. I think it was 14 passing and 4 rushing.
yeah.
This year, Brown's offensive line was ranked 14th last year. And like we said, better talent, Landry, Gordon, Coleman, Duke Johnson, Hyde. He's just in a better overall.
Yep.
Well, and I think the biggest thing for him, the offensive line for Cleveland, even though on paper it was supposed to be one of the top 5, and it didn't pan out that way. I think with now a full year under their belt, I think that offensive talent that they were expecting to gel, I think they've had a year to gel under Hugh Jackson. And I just think that they're going to be better overall, which I think only helps Tyrod, which only helps the key people around him as well. So I don't want to go out on a limb, but I might, not for my bold players, but a bold prediction. I would not be completely shocked if the Browns make it to the wild card this year. Am I the only one on this one?
I mean, that's pretty bold.
That is bold.
Is bold? I mean, I felt like...
I mean, like, we gave them credit last year for their draft and stuff, and they still didn't win a game.
Let's just put it this way: if everyone stays healthy offensively and defensively, which I know that's a lot of what ifs, I just think if this offense clicks like it should, and they stay healthy, I think they could. I don't think they're going to beat Pittsburgh for the division title, but I think that they could be potentially competing for second place in that division. I think it's open.
I think they could get to 5 wins.
You don't think above? You don't think above 500? You don't think 500?
I don't think even second place in the North is going to even get in.
Well, I don't.
If that's what you know what I mean.
True,
so,
I guess. That's
I mean,
a good point.
they're definitely making strides in the right direction.
Well, maybe I'm just on my own.
Hey, you could though, and you'll be the man.
Well,
and there's a few guys in our league that would appreciate that.
This is true. So,
but yeah, I just think with his legs too. I mean, he can make plays. There's just so much in that offense that if he was the 16th best in Buffalo, where there was hardly any options,
I think that's his floor. I know it sounds bad, but I think that's his floor for Cleveland. Which, if that's the floor, then he could only be potentially another top 12.
He could be at the top of the top 10.
Right. He could be in that top 10 for sure. I think he has the potential with the offense. And like you said, with being 16 last year with the trash of an offense that he had there in Buffalo, I mean.
Well, for fantasy purposes, too. I mean, I think they'll be down, so he'll be throwing a lot and stuff. He'll be playing for
Well, listen, and they play the Bengals twice, so, I mean, there's going to be opportunities to throw the ball.
This is true. So,
moving on to the running back.
Oh, we got something. Hold on.
That's right, return of the Mack.
Yeah.
Had to get that for you.
Marlon Mack for the Colts.
Yes.
His ADP right now, he's the 49th running back right now.
49th?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It'll change after the draft.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, Frank Gore's gone now. I mean, he's basically the guy.
I think they're expecting them to take a running back early in the draft. That's got to be the only reason why he's being ranked so low, because Andrew Luck is supposed to be the quarterback. They moved out of that top whatever five
Who's
pick.
still not throwing, by the way.
Well, he's throwing. He's just not throwing an actual football, supposedly.
So he's not throwing. We're not throwing tennis balls on the football field.
Well, some people might. I don't know. Yeah.
But, yeah, last year he finished 46 with 82 points. That's it, Marlon Mack. But, I mean, Frank Gore got the majority of the carries.
True.
And goal line looks.
Yep.
And that offense was atrocious.
But Mack had 358 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's the primary ball carrier this year. So, I mean.
Volume alone.
Right. And that, yeah, with Andrew Luck up in the air, I mean, I think they'll rely on the run more.
Well, I think that, and I think there's still unknown of the offensive line. And if that offensive line is still horrible, they're probably going to have to throw the ball a lot, and they're going to potentially have to throw the ball to the running back out of the backfield a lot.
He catches, too,
right.
yeah.
So I think that will bode well for him successfully-wise.
Well, I mean, for him, when you think of Mack, if you're going to get him as your backup, your third or fourth running back, it's not bad to have a starter. That's what you're looking for. Just guy's going to have complete volume that game. Now, can't say he's going to blow up the numbers, but when you need that plug-and-play guy, he fits the mold perfectly.
True. All right. But who's the wide receiver for this team?
I'm going to go with Homer Card here and play Josh Dotson.
Not bad.
2017, he finished as the 49th best receiver. This year, his ADP 61st. He's the number one in Washington.
He currently is the number one in Washington, and I don't expect them to go out and get but I have heard them potentially bringing in other wide receivers to try out and work out and stuff like that. So
he finished last year with just over 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. He showed, I mean, if you watched last year, I watched all the games, but he showed great potential. He played good. He benched Terrell Pryor essentially.
Right.
True.
I forget which week it was, but it was a quarter way through the season. Plus, Alex Smith likes to throw the ball downfield, and Dotson's a good guy for those 50-50 balls.
Yeah. He's a physical wide receiver, so I think that helps him. And Alex Smith tends to like to throw to his wide receivers on a lot of shorter routes, a lot of comeback routes and things like that. But I like Josh Dotson. I liked him when he came out of the college. I just think he needed that season to kind of get under his belt, the game speed and the defensive looks and things like that to kind of. I mean, some guys fall right into being successful right out the gate. Even though
Well, he was battling injuries.
True.
Too.
I mean, but he's got top talent for a wide receiver. It's just I think it just didn't translate last year. But I think you'll see something this year. At least I think you'll see something.
He's coming into his second year, correct?
This is his third year.
Yeah,
so he was out his whole first season.
Okay.
Right.
So second year so he's on that make or break whether or not
He's on the Kevin White experience.
Yeah, exactly. But for rookie wide receivers, it's either now or never.
Right.
So that's actually what would bode well for him, I would think, in this scenario.
Right.
I hope he does well. Anywho, George Kittle is my tight end.
All right.
Going back to the Jimmy G, right now he's the 18th best. His ADP is 18th best tight end.
All right.
He finished 2017, 515 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the final 2 weeks of the season, week 16 and 17, he had 20 points. He had 10 points in each game. So he was starting to build that, relationship with Jimmy G, and he's going to be the clear-cut starter this year over Selleck, and I just look for him to blow it up.
Yeah, I think he's going to be Jimmy G's buddy. I think he was successful when he was healthy last year, and I think he's just going to kind of step back into the role that he had last year. And I mean, young quarterbacks and tight ends seem to they gel well, and they try to build off of they're the building blocks from the offense. I mean, running backs are key and wide receivers as well, but I feel like for a quarterback, and we've always said this, the tight end position is key to have a good tight end for young quarterbacks or quarterbacks to new offensive styles because that's their comfort blanket. So I like it. So, well, I decided to call my team the super sophomores. I went and tried to find guys that were the sophomore crew, and So let's see. My first one's going to be my quarterback is going to be Mitchell Trubisky.
The biscuit.
The biscuit.
Oh, Sammy Biscuits.
Sammy Biscuits. Jeez. Mitchell Trubisky, the quarterback for the Chicago Bears. His current ADP is going to be a 14.07. So he's 14th round quarterback at the moment. Not really exciting for ADP purposes for a quarterback. I mean, that's like the bottom of the bottom.
You got to risk it to get the biscuit.
There you go.
Bam.
There you go.
Boom knowledge.
Now, his 2017 season, he played 12 games. He was 196 for 330 attempts, and he had a completion percentage completion percentage was 59%. Not great, not great by any means, but he had 2,000 passing yards. And he had 7 touchdowns for 7 interceptions, which is not actually that bad for a rookie quarterback who didn't throw a whole lot in all reality. But the problem was the sacks that he took were 31. That is horrible. That's horrible for a quarterback. 31 sacks for a season?
Well, Jay Cutler always got knocked down too.
Well, but that was Jay Cutler's attitude problem, apparently, in Chicago.
No, it was Bears' offensive line because they're straight rumpky.
So, anyways, currently for his outlook for 2018, I said I've got with the additions of Allen Robinson and Taylor Gabriel to help the passing games, plus hiring of the new head coach Matt Nagy. I think Trubisky's going to be set up to succeed this year. Now, Nagy, who was primarily served and coached under Andy Reid, pretty much from Philly all the way to Kansas City, has said that they're going to be aggressive and run the West Coast style offense, which is going to be a lot of the bootlegs and rollout style play, which is going to keep the athletic ability of Mitchell Trubisky active and moving around in the pocket so he's not standing flat-footed and getting just destroyed by defensive fronts.
Yeah, he better learn to slide.
Right.
So I just think the current coach, Matt Nagy, with the offensive style that they're bringing in, I just think that's going to be perfect for his precise, accurate throwing type, because he's not a deep ball throwing quarterback. He's not got like a gun. He can't throw the ball like some of these guys who can throw it 40, 50 yards on a rope with no problem. He's just not. That's just not his style, and it wasn't in college either. So, but the problem is, and this is where I kind of hinge on the games going forward, the schedule isn't horrible. But he does play Minnesota twice, which they're a really good defense, let's all be honest. And Seattle once, which we are unsure what that defense is going to look like.
Half their defense left.
True. Yeah. So there's uncertainty there. But he also plays the LA Rams. So 3 of his 16 games for fantasy purposes looks like they may be bottom-feeding games. So
he could be on his back a lot in LA.
Man, that defense is going to be nasty. Just saying. Anyways, so... going forward, I just think Mitchell Trubisky, he has a potential to be in that, I'd say, quarterback 2 talk for me, but he's in that middle to end of the quarterback 2 talk. So somewhere around, I'd say 17 to 18, right around there is comfortably I think he can finish this year. Now, I do think Allen Robinson's going to help that significantly.
Yeah.
I do think Taylor Gabriel is going to help that in some aspect. And then the guy that I'm going to talk about, Adam Shaheen, tight end-wise, I think he is going to really help Mitchell Trubisky out. So
don't forget about Trey Burton.
Yeah.
Trey Burton is in there as well. I forgot about him initially until you just said it. No, actually, I thought I remembered him, but
sure you did.
I have to tell you that. But I do think Mitchell Trubisky is going to be. I think he's going to be more successful. And I think that the aggressive West Coast style offense is going to help them. So, and then for running backs, I've got one Deonta Foreman. Somebody who really people thought was going to take Lamar Miller's job and should have at multiple times last year, but I just think the coaching staff there in Houston was just unsure of what they had. It was running, the offense was running hot. It was doing everything it needed to with Deshaun Watson, and then Deshaun Watson got hurt, unfortunately, and the bottom fell out of any and all offensive play style except for DeAndre Hopkins catching the ball.
Crap.
So. I mean, Miller went to the wayside. Fuller went to the wayside. The tight end position was kind of here and there when Savage was the quarterback.
Everybody not named Hopkins went by the wayside.
Pretty much. So
that's fair.
We'll just throw that out there.
But the problem is he only really played about 20, I think it was like 20% of the snaps last year. But he averaged 5 fantasy points a game, which is not bad for a guy who's only getting 20% of the snaps when Lamar Miller is averaging 80 to 90% of the snaps. So I just have, for his 2017 stats, he had played 10 games, 78 attempts, 327 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns, 2 fumbles. So not great, not poor, but for a guy who really didn't have like a spot to really play, and let's be honest, he was pretty much the backup. So that's not horrible, but not great. But his ADP is at 12th round right now. Not bad for a guy that you could get, and may end up being, because there's a lot of talk that they're still potentially going to shop Lamar Miller for trade purposes, and or if Foreman comes back healthy, that's the other thing.
If they trade Miller, then his ADP will go up significantly.
Yeah. But at the current moment, I think if Miller stays in there, I think Miller will eventually get jumped. Yeah. Not like jumped like physically, like beat up, but I meant like
that'll happen too.
By the fan base in Houston. But I think he'll get jumped by.
They're gonna Kerrigan him.
Foreman's gonna overstep him. Anyways, man, losing it. Trying to stay focused. I'm trying to stay on point. My bad. Anyways, so for 2018, I got Foreman missed now. He did miss part of the 2017 season starting in week 11 for the rest of the season, which was, I hate to say it was his best game. It was bad. He had like 200 some, let's see. Yeah, 65 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns for 20 fantasy points.
Nice.
Then he blew out his Achilles. So, but they did not re-sign Alfred Blue, which is a good sign because he was at some point stepping in and taking carries away from Foreman as well. So I just think that if Foreman is healthy, I just think he's going to take over the role eventually for starting position, and Miller's going to get put to the wayside. And or potentially if he's traded, I think that's going to mess up his ADP and just boom it straight up. So I don't know. I'm trying to think if I had any other notes. Now, I do think that the offense for Texans, sorry, I had a key point I wanted to point out. I do think the offense is going to be back to returning a fire with Deshaun Watson being the quarterback.
Hopefully.
So I think that'll be helpful. And
that's what makes him intriguing, because if that offense comes back and was doing what he was doing before he got injured,
correct.
That means there's fantasy points all over the field. Someone's got to get them.
Right.
And Foreman's going to get them. Probably a chunk of those. Right.
Well, and Fuller will step back into being relevant, which he was not once Watson went down with the injury. So
dude, his touchdown to reception streak was unreal.
And unfortunately for Blackburn, he got him right at the last possible moment before he pretty much just wasn't relevant.
I made the trade the day that he hurt his Achilles.
Right, you like made the trade.
Torn his ACL.
Right, you made the trade that evening or whatever before going to bed.
That morning.
The morning before going to bed, and then it was like.
I went to bed happy. I got Will Fuller and I had Deshaun Watson, and I woke up to see that he had torn his ACL, and then Will Fuller was nothing.
Listen.
And I gave up Christian McCaffrey.
Listen, you've been on the receiving end of good trades. I'm not going to lie. Last year it was kind of nice to see you get burned on a couple.
The playing field was even maybe a little bit.
Probably caught up the Blackburn shenanigans.
So, but I think he's got a chance. But I agree with you, Blackburn. If Lamar Miller was to be traded away, I think then his ADP kind of goes up to.
Oh yeah, big time.
It'll probably be in that 6th to 7th round, I would say, because that's a pretty decent spot for a starting running back and a offense that's probably going to be run through Deshaun Watson passing and or being mobile. So, wide receivers, I've got Kenny Golladay, wide receiver out of Detroit. So current ADP is also a 12th round, so you can get him way out there. He is the 3rd wide receiver on the depth chart, but I don't know how much. I guess my thing is I just don't know how much Golden Tate's going to be success-wise as he's gotten older, and I think that they're wanting to get Golladay to be the wide receiver 2. Essentially what they kind of used him as with Megatron as a bigger physical wide receiver in the red zone who kind of can get up there and I don't want to say manhandle, but basically dominate the defensive backs because he is a bigger frame guy. And I don't know. For 2018, though, no Ebron, so that kind of eliminates some of – and they really don't have a great tight end. So, I'm just not impressed with who they brought in. So, I think it was like Fumagati or Fumagal.
It was Oakland's backup tight end.
Okay. Yeah. So, not anybody worth having.
Listen, they weren't using Ebron anyway. So.
True. I did find that through my notes. So, as a rookie, 2017, he averaged 68 of the snaps for the offense. But Jones was at 96, Tate was at 76, and Ebron was at 52%. Now, with that 64% of the Lions' red zone touchdowns went to the wide receivers, which is a good thing. So, you've got a big physical wide receiver who now won't potentially have, not that he had tons of competition, but could be the focal point in that red zone. Now, I think he's going to be touchdown dependent. I don't think he's going to be a high volume guy that you can be excited about on a weekly basis, like, hey, I can play him as my flex play every week. But if Tate or Marvin Jones were to get hurt, then yes, I think that bumps his volume up. But where he's at currently, I think he's going to be a touchdown dependent wide receiver. And that's not always bad, especially on bye weeks or injury guys that you've got to fill in quickly. But the biggest thing, and with Matt Patricia coming in, he did retain Jim Bob Cooter, which is kind of the funniest coaching name I think I've ever heard of.
Love it.
So they do have familiarity with the offense. He does have the familiarity with that offense and calling the plays last year. So I think you're going to see some of the same similarities of that offensive play calling like you did last year. But I just think the offense, passing offense specifically for the Lions, is going to continue to be the focal point because they've made it very clear it's going to be a running back by committee. I mean, Patricia made that very clear. They're going to run the ball through a committee, which is exactly what the Patriots did, and it drove fantasy people nuts because technically this guy was the starter by depth chart, but oh my gosh, his backup ended up having 2 touchdowns and 150 yards, and he saw the ball 5 times. So I'm absolutely not touching any one of the Detroit Lions running backs at this point. LeGarrette Blount is like the only one that would be fantasy relevant just because of the potential touchdown upside, but I'm not going anywhere near any of these guys, even on bye weeks or injury. I think I'm officially off the Amir Abdullah, Theo Riddick train at this point, finally.
So I never got on that train.
Never.
Straight off a cliff.
Like Thelma and Louise. Was that an 80s movie or was that a 90s movie?
It might have been 90s.
Was that another 90s movie quote that we got in there? So, I don't know. I'm excited about Kenny Golladay potentially being a wide receiver 2 by the end of the year for Detroit's offense, not fantasy purposes, but
1991.
There you go.
Snuck it in there.
Yeah, snuck it in there. Anyways, so I'm excited about Galladay's potential overall. Now, the guy that I'm most excited out of my potential sleepers for this year is going to be the tight end Adam Shaheen. I think he could be potentially a top 10 tight end. I mean, with the offense that they're going to be running and what Travis Kelce did with that exact same style play calling, I think that, now, nothing to take away from Trey Burton. I think he is going to be successful, but I think they're going to use him more of a hybrid wide receiver tight end kind of position where they can line him up, because that was what my point was, and I didn't say it at the time. Cameron Meredith being gone, I think they can use him in maybe a Cameron Meredith type style way that they would want to use. Where I'm not saying that he can't be in a tight end position, but I'm saying they could use him more as a hybrid tight end wide receiver type kind of player, where I think Adam Shaheen is your prototypical blocking red zone tight end. He's 6'6", 270 pounds, which is a big boy.
Yeah.
Gronk, 6'5", 265. So similar weight, height, measurements, as you want to call it. So, and I don't know. He averaged, saw over 20 snaps only in 3 games. In the 3 games that he saw over 20 snaps, averaged a touchdown and 41 receiving yards. So when he saw consistent snaps, he actually improved his volume and what he was doing on a game-by-game basis. Now, as we said, with Matt Nagy, track record, 2017, 68% of the snaps, Chiefs touchdowns came from the pass. With that, 46% of them were the wide receiver and 35% to the tight end. So it's pretty even wide receiver, tight end, red zones. So I just think that I don't know, man. I just think that he's going to be something special potentially, and I think Trubisky's going to rely on him and Trey Burton. But I just think that Shaheen in the red zone at 6'6", 270 that's a big boy.
Big target. Yeah.
So, and Zach Miller's indefinite return, I mean, there's no sure he's even going to continue to be able to function. Like, they're not sure about his legs still, surgery purposes, like to actually have his legs. So I don't even think there's a lot of uncertainty if he's even going to play football again. So I think this is, unfortunately for Zach Miller, but fortunately for Adam Shaheen, I think this is his moment to kind of put his foot down and be the guy for years to come. And I think that's why they drafted him, to be the tight end for the future. So, I mean, I just think I've got him somewhere and finishing in around 10 to 12 fantasy purposes wise.
I can see that.
I think the only thing holding me back from him getting to that up in the top 10 would be Trey Burton. They're going to share the volume. I mean, the targets are going to have to probably go to both.
Right.
I still see him being, like you said, a sleeper. Someone you want to look at, but him sneaking all the way up that top 10, normally those guys are the guys who are getting all the targets.
Well, I'll just tell you, his current ADP is, as they call it, NA, which is not available, which means he is not currently being drafted.
It's even better.
And that's in 12-man standard leagues. He's not being drafted.
Right.
And, I mean, that's somebody maybe, even if you don't draft him, that's somebody you could potentially pick up off of waivers within week 1 or 2 and kind of keep your eye on him and say, oh, well, he blew up week 1 and 2 and pick him up off of waivers. Now, unfortunately, if he gets hot, everybody who's in your fantasy league is also going to be paying attention and seeing that he is blowing up. So it's a high risk, high reward type of situation. I'm not saying to go draft him as your tight end 1.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if you get a tight end early in the draft, like a Travis Kelce or a Gronk, somebody like that, where you're taking him in 3rd through 4th round, he's somebody you could potentially pick up in round 14 or 15 and just stash him on your bench for a rainy day. So, I mean, and if you're in a fantasy league where tight ends get a lot more points, which, I mean, the Scott Fish Bowl was very touchdown dependent for tight ends and was helpful. Tight ends were really a hot commodity, and I agree with you. I don't think that Trey Burton's going to be completely irrelevant. I think he's going to be relevant. I'm still waiting to see if they're going to truly put him as a tight end, which I have a hard time believing that they're just going to set him as a tight end only when they really only have Allen Robinson. They've got Taylor Gabriel, and then they have what was the guy from San Diego that came over? Oh, I just drew a blank. Not Ingram. Poop. Receiver came over last year because he was the only guy that they had, and we just bagged on him. We just said, please don't touch any of the wide receivers there because Cameron Meredith was their best receiver and he's injured. But anyways, I'm just saying you got no more Cameron Meredith. And he was supposedly a focal point last year. I think Allen Robinson's your wide receiver 1. Do you have it? No,
I'm looking at it.
Oh, okay. Then you got Taylor Gabriel. Then you've got now, I think Trey Burton's going to essentially be that wide receiver 3, tight end 2 spot for the team.
Was it Inman?
Inman, there you go.
Dontrell Inman?
Yep.
Dontrell Inman. You know what?
Where's my boom knowledge at?
I got you right here.
Boom knowledge.
Look at that. It's all like right in here between the ears. He just keeps it nestled away for a rainy day.
I know.
Just pulls from it every once in a while. Anyway, so that's all I've got for my guys. And I know it's a lot of potentials, and I mean other people might have their own sleepers.
What sleepers are.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean there was a couple guys last year that were sleepers, and I will say you made the comment. You said, and Trimboli and I talked about this. You made the comment last year about Adam Thielen being a top 5 wide receiver that wasn't being drafted highly at the time and was not really being a whole lot of talked about. And I mean he ended up blowing it up. So I just think that these guys are out there. You gotta wait and see some of them. Some of them have carry name weight. Some of them don't. You just kind of gotta wait and see, and they don't hurt you to draft them around 13 or 14 or 15. I mean, by honestly, at that point you're probably drafting, like we said, defenses and kickers. So
right.
Most of your guys past like round 12, 13 are guys that you're just flipping a coin and hoping that they hit. And if they do, great. If they don't, oh well, there's a thing called waiver wire, and you drop them, pick somebody else up. So,
I love Thielen this year, and his ADP's high right now, but he's not going to get nowhere the production that he got last year.
I would agree with you. I think
because Kirk Cousins spreads that ball around. It's not he's not going to zero in on one target like Keenum did with Adam Thielen.
I agree, and I think the biggest thing for Adam Thielen last year was the success was Case Keenum coming in because Sam Bradford was just targeting Diggs.
Yeah.
And then once he went down with the injury, shocking, I know, Case Keenum came in and Adam Thielen pretty much took over as the wide receiver 1.
Diggs was hot and cold every week, but Adam Thielen was consistent.
Yeah, so
I just like Thielen's role, kind of like the Antonio Brown situation, where they kind of give him the ball quickly and just let him make his own.
Yeah,
true.
So I mean,
run after the catch.
That's what I like about Thielen. So, but I agree with
got
you.
that loving Thielen.
You got that loving Thielen.
I ain't lost that loving Thielen.
So. All right, guys. We just want to say thanks again to all of you, the listeners, for tuning in to today's show. Please check out the site, thehateful8ff.com, where you can check out our articles, apparel, and there's a lot on there, not just the articles and apparel. I mean, eventually the draft kit's the draft loadout's gonna be in there, and that's a big thing.
You're gonna want that
for sure. So Make sure you, though, follow our personal accounts at jpickleTH8FF, at jblackburnTH8FF. Oh, you didn't pick up your phone. I was waiting for it.
Tweet me. I'll answer all trade questions.
At FTrimTH8FF. And don't forget to join the Average Donation, like we said, which is our Patreon account, where you can sign up and pre-order the 2018 draft loadout, which is going to be... It's gonna be big for people that actually invest in it. So, plus as well as you'll get your in-season weekly help. So, big things coming to the post NFL draft. That's when the ground is we're gonna hit the ground running with this. So,
I like it. It's closer to that season.
It is.
Getting there.
I just want to say before we go, we're almost to the NFL season and college season with the spring games coming up this week.
I know.
This weekend, Ohio State spring game coming up. That tells me that we are halfway there. We are almost to the fall, boys. Almost. But I do enjoy my summers, though.
I do like summer.
But shortly after summer, it comes fall.
Listen, I'm done talking potential. I want to see him on the field.
Right.
True. So, all right, guys, that's all we got for today, and we'll see you next week.
There ain't no one like these three. You know you just heard Pickle, Blackburn, and Trimboli. Give the goods talking about nothing but fantasy football. Yeah, it's your year to dominate and to wear that ring. Prepare for the draft and dial in on your craft. Quarterback, the first round is a good choice, you ask? This guy's got first round pick a favorite? Not so fast. He failed to tune into Hateful Eight. He's a chump finishing last.